So we have to do the types of the components of the government budget. क्या क्या होता है? So this is from class 12 NCRT. Okay, this is I think the second last or the last chapter. Class 12 NCRT will find this. Okay, if you want to do a self study, so do it from that class 12 NCRT only. Okay. So the government budget can on its face, it can be divided into two parts: the revenue budget and the capital budget. Okay. So let us see the revenue and budget and the capital budget. So revenue receipts and revenue expenditure. The revenue receipts can then further be divided into tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Then the tax revenue is also divided into direct tax and indirect tax. ठीक है. यहाँ पर देखो capital budget, capital receipts and capital expenditure. Okay. So let us do everything in detail. We'll be doing every component in detail. So revenue budget, revenue receipts and revenue expenditure. Okay, revenue budget को आप ऐसे समझो. Do not go into the theory part or the macroeconomics part. Understand you got the salary. Okay, you are working. Say आपका selection हो गया IAS का, and your salary, if you all know, 56,100 rupees है IAS की salary, initial salary. Okay, you got your salary. ठीक है. तो that salary that came into your account becomes your revenue receipts. Okay, it became your revenue receipt, the salary. Same way the government also, the government takes in GST, it takes in income tax, the government takes in all kinds of revenues. So what is that? It is basically its salary, right? Salary hai uski. So revenue receipts is basically the government salary. Now here it is, the receipts which do not have a direct impact on the assets and liabilities of the government. This is a very important statement and there is a very high chances of getting confused. तो मैं 3-4 बार इसको बताऊंगा आपको. The receipts, okay, like kindly pay attention, receipts which do not have a direct impact on the assets and liabilities of the government. Now here is the thing, you on the first of the month you receive money into your account, you receive the 56,100 rupees as an IAS officer. तो जो आपको पैसा मिला, the money that you received, did it create any assets? Did it create in any direct assets? जब तक आप खर्चा नहीं करोगे, unless and until you will not spend on buying something, that asset that cannot be counted as an asset. Money in the bank, it is not a direct asset. A 3 BHK home, a 4 BHK home, a 2 BHK home, that is an asset. But your money in the bank is not a direct asset. And when the salary comes into your account, does that create any liabilities? क्या वो कोई liability create करती है? Does that give you, did you go into debt when your salary is credited? आप debt में तो नहीं जाते हो, right? Unless and until you spend on something. मान लो क्रेडिट कार्ड से आपने 80,000 का मैकबुक मंगाया, so then it will create liability. But on the face of it, revenue receipt, the salary, the government salary will not create any direct impact on either the asset and liability. ये जब तक spend आप नहीं करोगे, unless and until you will not spend, so that will not create any kind of assets or liabilities. So जो आपका spending method है, the spending method will turn your salary into an asset or liability. But money in the bank, the money that is credited into your account, it is not an asset or liability unless and until you choose otherwise. Okay, या तो वो बैंक का, right? See, one comment is there that deposits for bank are also considered as liability. वो बैंक का है, right? I'm talking about salaried person or government. जो बैंक का है, बैंक is doing a business. बैंक क्या कर रहा है? बैंक is an intermediary, financial intermediary. वो बीच का दलाल है, right? So वो पैसे लेता है, it takes in money and it disburses loan. So that loan, right? That becomes different thing, right? We are not financial as a human being. Are you a financial intermediary? आप पैसा लेते हो किसके वजह से? That you have to spend it, right? But the bank takes it with the intention of disbursing a loan. So jo liabilities, jo deposits hai, all the deposit that the bank have, it is deposited by the customer with the intention that yes, it will come to me, 4% interest milega mujhe, or that it is safe with the bank. So the bank has to give 4% interest. Do you have to give 4% interest on the salary credited? क्या आपको जो आपकी सैलरी आती है उस पे आप 4% इंटरेस्ट देते हो किसी को? नहीं ना. तो दैट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू आर नॉट अ फाइनेंशियल इंटरमीडियरी. ओके, राइट. अच्छा, और एक और अच्छी चीज है, दैट आई एम हैप्पी दैट यू मेंशन्ड दिस, बिकॉज आई एम हैप्पी बिकॉज दिस वाज अ क्वेश्चन इन योर 2020 प्रीलिम्स. लाइबिलिटी का ये डिपॉजिट इन बैंक, एंड देयर वर 4 ऑप्शंस. इफ यू रिमेंबर, इकोनॉमिक्स में डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन आया था 2020 प्रीलिम्स का. हाँ, राइट, यू या वेरी करेक्ट. आई थिंक 2020 का. Okay, I think Srivats had mentioned this. So 2020 में there was a question, there was a direct question. So understand that you are not a financial intermediary, okay, and the government is also not a financial intermediary. So okay, we are done with this revenue receipts. Then revenue expenditure, the expenditure which does not impact the assets or liabilities, salaries, interest payment, pension and administrative expense. Okay, understand from the point of view of an individual. आपकी salary आई, ठीक है? See, there are 2 blocks. The employer, your employer, you are working in a private or a government firm, does not matter. Your employer gives you X amount of salary. The moment that X amount of salary is credited to your account, एयरटेल वालों ने 900 रुपए काट लिए. एयरटेल पीपल दे डिडक्टेड 900 रुपीज. एचडीएफसी पीपल दे सेड कि आपने लाइक हमारा ये स्कीम लिया हुआ था, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट 1000 रुपीज वी आर डिडक्टिंग. your gym deducted 2500 rupees. You know, all your doodh wala, he asked for this much rupees. Okay, so this is the thing, this is basically your revenue expenditure. See, if anyone of you जिनके father government में, right, government sector में हैं, and they are receiving the salary from the government, so that salary will be counted as a revenue expenditure. Okay, and again, it does not impact assets or liabilities. जो बंधे हुए खर्च हैं, हिंदी में आप समझो बंधे हुए खर्च. Okay, fixed expenses, they will not create assets, but they will neither do liabilities. Fixed expenses are not because these expenses are automated, right? ये आपको करना ही करना है, उसके बाद जो पैसा बचेगा. Okay, right? Okay, there is a question by Skanda Bhaiya that does PSU's salary count as revenue expenditure? Yes, that will be counted based on the government share. If the PSU is controlled, okay, there are some PSUs, because now the government is doing disinvestment and divestment also. So if the PSU, say it is 100% controlled by the government, okay, and the government is responsible, तो वो government job में count होगा, right? But each each of the organization, it has its own policy. कोल इंडिया का अलग पॉलिसी है, ओएनजीसी का अलग पॉलिसी है, तो उसमें पेंशन पे बात आ जाती है. ओके, सो पेंशन, इफ यू रिमेंबर, अभी बात चल रही है ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम ओपीएस वर्सेस न्यू पेंशन स्कीम. सो दिस न्यू पेंशन स्कीम was introduced to cut down on the revenue expenditure, right? So I think you have understood this, that your fixed salary, the salary that comes into your account every month, that is your revenue receipt. But the expenses, the fixed expenses, बच्चों की स्कूल की फीस, right? बच्चों की स्कूल की फीस, the school fees of your kids, ठीक है, that is a fixed expense. The अंडा, दूध, bread, these are fixed expenses, right? So that will not create assets for you or liabilities. They are not investments, these are fixed expenses. So suppose there are 10,000 government employees, so the government knows that if I'll collect this much tax, I'll have to disburse this salary to this much people, because they are helping me to collect this much tax or to generate this much tax. Okay, so this will not create a liability. This is an important point. Assets तो आप समझ गए होगे. I think you must have understood the asset part, that of course the revenue expenditure will not create assets, but at the same time they will not create liabilities too. Okay, so salaries, interest payment, pension, administrative expenses, interest payment. Suppose the government has taken an IMF loan. Okay, and that loan, अभी हम capital expenditure और capital receipt में बात करेंगे लोन की, but you know every loan comes with an interest 2%. To से लेके, you know, China is giving loan at 24-25% also to poor countries. Debt trap, if you'll remember debt trap के बारे में in your GS2 IR, right? So depending on the rate of interest, you have to pay the interest also. This is also a fixed expense, right? Then administrative expenses. Okay, I'll share an anecdote with you. इस आपको समझ आएगा administrative expenses के बारे में. My father, he's a government servant. Okay, so he what he tells me कि पहले, you know, when the babus they used to do night, रात भर काम करते थे. They used to work the whole night, so they used to order from 5-star hotels. Okay, they used to the senior officers, and you know, they used to order from the 5-star hotel, and they used to have, you know, 5 lakh 6 lakh bill for each night. And this expenses, it used to go into the administrative expenses wala part. Okay, now the government, you know, after there was a change in government, so in the first year only that thing was changed, and now each department or each ministry has its own canteen, and the babus and the senior officers, the senior bureaucrats, they have to, like, they can buy subsidized food from the canteen. MEA, Ministry of External Affairs, it even has a Bikaner wala, or I'm not sure, Haldirams or Bikaner wala inside its compound. Okay, so that 5-6 lakh rupees per night, it has come drastically down to 50 to 60,000 per night agar stay kar rahe the. So what was that? That was administrative expenses, or the move to open canteen was done to reduce revenue expenditure. Okay, so this is an important point, because this is concept. This concept will help you in pre and interview. Okay, you can very well make a point that sir ye kam kar dena chahiye, or we have to, if, you know, if the board member is asking you, if the board member is asking you that you know, should we subtract this expense, so you can make a point, yes sir, that is a revenue expenditure, and this is falana dimkana, this is pension. Old pension scheme should not come, because that will inflate our revenue expenditure. Okay, one more concept, एक और concept that I think that we all need to understand is that cutting down on revenue expenditure is important, so that we have enough money for capital expenditure. Okay, revenue expenditure we will reduce, then only we will have money for capital expenditure. Now we will study capital expenditure, so you will be able to link between revenue expenditure and ye. Okay, I think everyone is clear with the old pension scheme and new pension scheme. सबको पता है ना? Is anyone there who is not well versed with the OPS and the NPS? You know, you can tell in the chat, तो मैं 2 minute में you know बता दूंगा, because that is a very current centric issue. Okay, Chris, you do not know the OPS and NPS. Okay, no issues. Let us briefly see, 2 minutes में देख लेते हैं OPS और NPS क्या है. Okay, quick summary, ठीक है. So before 2004, okay, 2004 से पहले, before 2004, there was an old pension scheme. Okay, pension scheme जो था, it was basically the government servant, if he'll work for X amount of year, it used to vary from 20 to, you know, 30, and in some departments even 10. So he used to get a pension that was 50% of his last drawn basic. Okay, 50% of his plus last drawn basic, जो last basic pay था उनका, उसका 50% plus dearness allowance. Dearness allowance, I think all you know, महंगाई भत्ता जिसको बोलते हैं, ठीक है. So this was inflating the revenue expenditure of the government. And because of that, we did not had enough money to invest in capital expenditure. Okay. So the government in 2004 came out with the NPS. So NPS, all the government employees, all the private sector employees, right? They could participate. All the, but I think full commission army officer, FC officers were not included. Okay. I think Smarta Bhaiya can confirm if that was the case. I think short service commission people who do 7 years of service, they also had to participate in the non new pension scheme. Okay. So only the people, right? The full commissioned army soldiers and the Jawans who did more than 20 years got the old pension scheme, and everyone was shifted towards new pension scheme. So government used to pay whatever you were investing. So suppose your income was 1 lakh rupees. अगर आपका income 1 lakh rupees था and you are investing 6500 per month into the new pension scheme, so the government used to match that for government employees. Okay. तो 6500 अगर आप दे रहे हो तो गवर्नमेंट यूज टू मैच दैट अमाउंट एंड 13,000 rupees used to go into your bank, your NPS account. And this was only for the government, only matches for the government employees, not for the private employees. The private employees get interest which hovers from 8 to 10% on the NPS. So when you turn 60, your retirement year, you can withdraw. Okay. And there is an annuity plan that monthly you will get something 15,000 to 20,000. And government started a gratuity scheme. Okay. Gratitude दिखा रहा है आपको government. So after you will retire, okay, so you will get a lump sum 50 lakh to 70 lakh. Okay. So this pension, this old pension scheme was causing a dent on the revenue expenditure, और उसके वजह से we did not had enough money to spend on the capital expenditure. And OPS and NPS, it is in the news. Okay. So expect some form of question in the mains at least. uh, you know uh, there are some people, my dad's bosses, we discuss a lot. There are some people who will get around 2 lakh rupees as pension because they are drawing close to 3 lakh rupees per month right now, right now. So they will, if you'll do the 50% of their basic, so it comes to around 1.5 1.6 lakh easy money for the next 20-30 years. So all this was causing a dent on the revenue expenditure. Now we come to the second part, the capital budget. It includes the capital receipts and the capital expenditure. Okay. Now let us see capital receipts. It includes the receipts which leads to a decrease in assets or an increase in liabilities. My dear friends, इसमें confused mat hona. Please do not get confused in this because I got confused in 2021. ठीक है. उसके बाद I had to go back to the NCERT and read it again. Increase in liabilities and a decrease in assets, that is your capital receipts. Okay. अब इसमें देख लेते, what are the examples of capital receipts? Money earned by selling assets. Okay, money earned by selling assets. So you might get confused, यार money तो earn कर रहे हैं हम, but ये second part आप देखो, selling assets. You are selling something. There is a cow. Okay, गौ माता है, and she is giving you 40 liters of milk every day. You are selling that milk to the gaon walas. But one day you decide that gaon mata has overstayed her welcome, and you sell gaon mata to a different farmer. So जो 40 लीटर दूध आपको मिलेगा, the 40 liters milk that she was getting every day, will that be the case? No, because you sold it. Okay, money in the bank came, that was your revenue receipt. Okay, but that money earned, लेकिन आपका asset कम हो गया, right? In the similar manner, the government, when it sells its assets and it is generating a revenue, so that revenue stop. आपने वो सुना होगा ना, if you had heard about that golden geese wala, that the geese, it used to lay a golden egg, and the farmer or the peasant, he got उसको लालच आ गया, he got greedy and वो उसने काट दिया, right? Same thing has happened. Money earned, You have earned money, but you have sold your assets. Okay. Then disinvestment, Air India, और all जो अभी देखा काफी सारे PSUs जो हैं, इट इज सेड कि कोल इंडिया को भी कर देंगे कुछ सालों में. एंड एयर इंडिया इज द बेस्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट. गवर्नमेंट इज सेलिंग, ओके, गवर्नमेंट इज सेलिंग योर, इट इज सेलिंग इट्स सिल्वर्स, बोलते हैं ना. Nirmala Sitharaman made a comment recently that disinvestment is not equal to selling its silver. Okay. But it is selling its assets, right? It is selling its asset, right? BSNL, yes. Money received in the form of borrowing or repayment of loan. यहाँ पर please आप यहाँ पर ध्यान से देखो, ये वाला concept important है, because you might get confused here. Okay. Because I'm speaking from experience. Now, please see this loan. There is a loan. Okay. I lent. Okay. I lent. एक मेरा friend है, उसको मैंने 10,000 रुपए lend किया. I lend 10,000 rupees, and I told him that, see, you will pay me 5% interest. Okay. 5% interest you will be paying me. Okay. But you know that, so every month I was getting, some money from that friend in the form of 5% interest, and 10,000 rupees. So one day he came home and said कि वो जो 10,000 रुपए भाई मैंने लिए थे आपसे, the 10,000 rupees that I took from you, I am returning you back. Now my friends, क्या वो 5% interest आपको मिलेगा? The 5% interest is gone. So suppose India lent 5 crore rupees to Bangladesh, and it said that we are charging you 9% interest, and the government of Bangladesh in its budget said that we are ready to repay the entire loan to India in one go. So India lost an opportunity of accruing interest. So money received in the form of borrowing or repayment of loan, ये इसने क्या किया? Decrease in assets. हमने ऊपर पढ़ा था ना, it did decrease in assets, because loan given by you or the bank or any entity is an asset, because you are getting interest on that. I think this concept is clear, or should I repeat it again? आप interest lose कर दोगे, that's why it is a decrease in asset. So loan is an asset. Even in the bank's balance sheet, loan is said to be an asset. Deposit is not an asset. It is a liability. You can raise your hand, or you can comment in the chat box if you have not got the concept. I can explain it once again. I think all clear. Do not hesitate, because आप आज hesitate कर जाओगे. You will hesitate today, and then this will keep compounding. आप कंफ्यूज होते जाओगे आगे जाते हुए, because this is core concept, this is core economics concept. This will help you not only in your GS3, this will help you in your prelims. Okay. Okay. Ranjan bhai, no issues, not at all. यहाँ पर आप देखो, मनी रिसीव्ड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ, ऊपर क्या लिखा है पहले आप ये देखें, ऊपर व्हाट इज रिटन अबव. Okay, capital receipts, it includes the receipts which leads to a decrease in assets. Okay, decrease in assets. Suppose you gave a loan, okay, of 10K to your friend. Okay, you gave a loan of 10K to your friend, and you said to your friend that give me 5% per month interest. Okay, so the friend will start paying you 5% interest, ठीक है, plus the principal amount. But one day your friend comes home and said कि भाई ये पूरे ले ले तू पैसे, मेरा काम हो गया, and 8K was left, and he paid the entire 8K to you. So जो 5% interest you were getting, that was lost. Okay, and that 5% interest was an asset for you. It was easy money. 10K it has not gone anywhere. That 10K was there. You would have gotten 10K, but you are also getting a 5% interest, right? Okay. So that led to what? A decrease in asset. So similarly, if India will lend money to any country or a state, the central government will lend money to a state government on certain interest. So when the entire loan along with the principal is paid back. It is paid back. So the government lost the opportunity of getting interest, right? Because पूरा loan अगर pay हो गया है, so there is no need to get to pay the borrower to pay interest, right? So there will be a decrease in assets. Okay, there will be a decrease in assets, so that will be counted as a capital receipts. I think are you I am clear. So एक और example है which is suggested, that yes, rent. Okay, suppose you have a farmhouse, okay, and you do not go there and you put it on rent. So you are getting rent, right? You are getting 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. But after some time, your tenant, he says ki I'm going somewhere else, my posting is somewhere else, and I will not be able I'll be not be able to continue in this house. So you did what? A decrease in asset. Okay, like suppose you sold. Okay, up yes Akhil, yes Akhil. You can comment also. If there is a doubt, you can comment. राइट. सो सपोज यू हैव अ हाउस और आपने उसको बेचना चाहा, राइट? आप उसको बेच दिया, ठीक है. यू हाँ, ओके ओके, आई गॉट दैट, आई गॉट दैट, यस यस. So suppose there is a house. Okay, you have a house, 10 crore house, and you have posted it as a 50,000 rent. Okay, you have given it let out as a 50,000 rent. और वो रेंट आपने नेक्स्ट ईयर सोचा कि मैं वो बेच दूं 10 crore का हाउस, तो यू विल नॉट बी गेटिंग दैट 50,000 रेंट, राइट? आपने बेच दिया. सो दैट इज द कैपिटल रिसीट. आई थिंक अखिल, नाउ वी आर क्लियर. आई थिंक आई गॉट योर एग्जांपल राइट. when you sell your house, तो फिर उसमें हो जाता है, ठीक है. अब कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर देख लेते हैं. इट इज यूज्ड टू क्रिएट एसेट्स और रिड्यूस लायबिलिटीज. इट इंक्लूड्स लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट इन रोड्स, ट्रांसपोर्ट, हॉस्पिटल, और मनी गिवन एज लोन टू स्टेट्स एंड फॉरेन एंटिटीज. यहां पर क्या हो रहा है? जस्ट लुक एट दिस, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग हियर. मनी गिवन तो क्या होता है? इंटरेस्ट अपॉर्चुनिटी. यू गेट एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू अक्रू इंटरेस्ट. वहां पर क्या हो रहा था? कैपिटल, व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग इन द कैपिटल रिसीट? देयर वाज अ लॉस ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी टू गेट इंटरेस्ट और गेट रेंट, राइट? लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, रोड्स, ट्रांसपोर्ट, हेलीकॉप्टर, हॉस्पिटल्स, राइट? सो कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर, इट इज बेसिकली द इन्वेस्टमेंट. आपको याद होगा हमने अभी जस्ट बात किया था, रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर should be revenue expenditure should be controlled so that we have enough money to do capital expenditure, right? So when you do capital expenditure, suppose you buy a 60 lakh house in Noida. So that is a capital expenditure because you are doing a long term investment, right? You are creating an asset. You buy gold on Dhanteras, राइट? धनतेरस पे जो आपने गोल्ड खरीदा, दैट इज ऑल्सो अ कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर बिकॉज दैट इज क्रिएटिंग एसेट विच विल गिव यू अर्निंग अपॉर्चुनिटी. नाउ आई जस्ट लाइक रैप इट अप. यहां पर ये कैपिटल और रेवेन्यू, ये है क्रिएशन ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी, और कैपिटल रिसीट है रिडक्शन इन अपॉर्चुनिटी और लॉस ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी. आई थिंक यू गॉट द थीम. क्या है ये? Four points we talked about, right? Four components: revenue receipts, revenue expenditure, capital receipts, capital expenditure. So there is a very good chance to get confused. Okay, exam time में भी confuse होने का अच्छा chance है. So you should go through the notes, and you should go through the class 12th NCERT, and if there is then any doubt, we can discuss that. Now we'll look at the types of budget. So balance budgeting, zero based budgeting, outcome budgeting, gender budgeting, deficit budgeting, and surplus budgeting. Okay, so we will be doing the gender budgeting in detail in tomorrow's class, or we will also talk about the drawbacks of the present budgeting system, and we will also talk about the way forward. But आज ये बाकी सारा कर लेते हैं. So surplus budgeting, as the name suggests, surplus budgeting is when you have a surplus, you have a surplus receipt and your expenditure is less than your income. Your expenditure, suppose I is for income and E is for expenditure. So surplus budget mein income is more than your expenditure. Okay. Balance budgeting, income is taken into account and expenditure is made so that income is equal to expenditure. Basic concept, you know what the name is suggesting, it is that only. Then deficit budgeting. What is deficit budgeting? Income is less than your expenditure, so that will lead to deficit budgeting. So this corona kal, lockdown kal, this lockdown, we had a deficit budgeting, and deficit budgeting is controlled by the FRBM Act. Okay, this has been asked twice, two and two times in the past 6 years or 7 years. Okay, in your prelims. So we'll discuss that in detail as well in tomorrow's class. Then now let us look at some other zero-based budgeting. Budget method of budgeting in which all expenses are evaluated each time a budget is made, and expenses must be justified for each new period. Okay, so this is more, you can say that this is a form of sustainable budgeting. This is a form of sustainable budgeting. Okay, so budget is made on the basis of needs. फालतू का खर्चा नहीं होता है. There is no फालतू का खर्चा in zero based budgeting. Whatever your need list is made of needs, and then expenses are dispersed. कि जो आपने need बताया उसके हिसाब से I'll be disbursing the income, disbursing the expenses. Okay. Outcome budget, it analyzes the progress of each ministry and department and then allocates resources. So this is this can be a question ki outcome budgeting, how is it important? So basically every department, the progress of from last year, suppose 2022, the progress will be seen that if I have allocated 100 crores to MEA, how it has performed for that 100 crore. And if it has not performed, suppose 25 crore उसने फालतू का खर्चा किया, तो next year 75 crore will be the budget. So this is basically your outcome budget. The progress of each ministry and department is analyzed minutely. Okay, so next we have to do the gender budgeting. So gender budgeting basically came, I think gender budgeting came in 2020 or 2021. GS3 में आया था, direct question था. So we'll discuss this in detail tomorrow. Okay, I think